Dreamworks has some of the greatest villains in animation history, but who is the best one? Today I'll be giving you my pick for the top 10 best Dreamworks villains. Share your own list down below and be sure to subscribe for more videos like this, and with that said, let's get started. At number 10, Goldilocks and the Three Bears from Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. While so many characters on this list are great villains because of how good they are at being evil and menacing bad guys, these characters are on here for the opposite reason. They stand out and feel unique amongst other Dreamworks villains because of how unvillainous they are, which is a fun subversion of expectations.
Excuse me, my darling. We're looking for the legendary Puss in Boots. Have you perhaps...
And in a movie that already has two menacing characters, they offer some nice variation. What stands out about Goldilocks as a character is how understandable her motivation is. She plans on using the wish to get her real family back, then later gives it up to help the bears, who she realizes were a true family all along. On the topic of the bears, they are all so memorable and hilarious in their own way. At number 9, Pitch Black from Rise of the Guardians. Now what Dreamworks is very good at with quite a handful of their villains is creating characters who are dark mirrors of the lead character. That is the case with Rise of the Guardians too. Pitch Black, just like Jack Frost, longs to be believed in, and the only way he can do that is through creating nightmares, as that is his purpose. It is what he was created to do from the start. That is a pretty good motivation for a villain. He also has such a sinister presence, and he is a character that you grow to hate more and more as the movie goes on. The way he uses shadows and creates monsters makes him the perfect personification of fear, which makes it really ironic when he himself is afraid. He shares the same fear as the lead character of being forgotten by the world. Next up we have the fairy godmother from Shrek 2. What this franchise has obviously always done well is twist common fairy tale tropes, and in the second film it especially applies this to the villains. And who better to make the villain the character you would least expect to be one. Now I know she's often most people's number one pick. I think she is good, but I never fully understood the over the top hype I see for this character. So I would also say she is the most overrated, but still a top 10 villain for sure. What makes this character such a worthy opponent for the heroes isn't even her magic and potions, but instead her control. She's the one always working from behind the scenes, using blackmail or manipulations to get what she wants, which creates an interesting type of threat. This can be seen in the way she tricks Fiona into thinking her son is Shrek, and then manipulating Shrek into thinking that it's all for the better. Then she can quickly appear to be caring and kind, which allows her to get away with this trickery.
I just wanted her to be happy.
And now she can be. If you really love her, you'll let her go.
Next up, Grummel from How to Train Your Dragon: Hidden World. Easily the best villain of the franchise that poses a new type of threat to the heroes, as he uses strategy and intelligence to combat them. Then compared to the other villains in the trilogy, this one is easily the most interesting. He sort of represents what Hiccup would have turned into had he killed Toothless in the first film. He's the total opposite of the hero. He hunts dragons, not saves them. The ones he does train, he uses to hunt more dragons. But these reasons aren't even why he's so high up. He's so high up because of his scene-stealing presence and personality. The voice actor did a great job with this character, as he can be really menacing and kind of charismatic at the same time. Next up we have Titan from Megamind, a great example of what would happen if the wrong person gets superpowers, and a frighteningly normal wrong person. Hal was never a criminal or an evil person before he got powers. He was just a normal guy, but had enough bad attributes that he became the villain by the end. Sure, Metro Man was a pretty flawed character, but he still cared about protecting the city, while this guy sees it as his playground. Titan showed just how terrifying these powers would really be if they were in the wrong hands. It would be like Superman turning on Metropolis, which creates a great threat and states for the final battle. So great villain, but there is one issue. What is with him dancing in prison at the end? Like, guy, you're in jail. Next up we have Kai from Kung Fu Panda 3. It feels like this character is often looked down upon because he doesn't really have the depth and backstory of the previous two Kung Fu Panda villains, but I do not think that makes him a bad villain at all. As Puss in Boots 2 proved, a villain doesn't need a whole backstory or complex motivation to be a great character. Sometimes a cool design, excellent theme song, entertaining and menacing personality is enough. This is easily the most dangerous and powerful villain Poe has faced, as he is a spirit warrior, which is something different in the franchise. He actually feels like an indestructible force, and the movie does a good job at showing this. Whether it is him stealing Oogway's chi or beating Shifu and the Furious Five, that is all great build up to the final showdown. And then the final showdown isn't even successful the first time around. So sometimes you don't need this deeply broken and complex character. Sometimes all you need is J.K. Simmons playing a water buffalo.
You serious?
In fourth place we have Ramses. Prince of Egypt really found an interesting direction to take the pharaoh from the Book of Exodus in. That might not be entirely accurate, but in the end it makes him such a more interesting and complex character. Instead of being this two-dimensional tyrant that is evil just for the sake of it, they explore the idea of Moses and Ramses being brothers, which adds an extra layer of emotion into the film. It especially makes the film's events hit harder because they built out this friendship in the first half very well. Then, even the motivation for his actions was set up properly. He doesn't want to be the result of Egypt's downfall, so he made sure to put that girl above all else. This movie does a great job of humanizing him to the point where you understand why he did what he did. In third place, Death from Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. A fan favorite and for a good reason. This is a character that, while not having that much screen time, is able to easily become the best and most memorable character out of the entire film. From his excellent design to that eerie whistle, this is one of the best villains I've seen in recent years that just does a perfect job of capturing the sense of dread and fear.
I just love the smell of fear.
What also makes this character interesting is the common argument that he isn't even a villain. He's more of a force of nature, a character just set out to do his job, but then the other side of the argument makes sense too. He goes out of his way to hunt down our lead character just because he's arrogant and doesn't treat his lives with respect. Probably not fair for Death to target someone, which is definitely villain behavior. So just a fascinating character, but there are still two more I prefer, even though this one is super close to being number one. In second place, Shen from Kung Fu Panda 2. Another fantastic Kung Fu Panda villain that not only has a great on-screen presence and personality, but also has some great character depth. Firstly, Gary Oldman did a fantastic job with this character. He can be super menacing, but then really entertaining and fun to watch in other scenes. A balance that I wish more villains did as good as this one. Then his whole design is obviously very cool looking, but the best thing about this character is easily his conflict. Not just with the hero, but also with himself. He's a character that is out to battle his own fate. An interesting conflict, really not explored a lot in movies. Every single evil action he does to try and change his destiny just brings it closer to him.
One often meets his destiny on the road he takes to avoid it.
That is just such a fascinating idea the movie explores. Then of course they tie him into Poe's backstory, which creates the most personal villain and hero conflict in the franchise. And because he's a character that has done so many bad things, you can't wait to see him defeated. Then when that does happen, it is really satisfying. But obviously, coming in at first place is Francis from The Boss Baby. Easily the best written character out of any animated film. Not only is he a wealthy CEO of a company, it is also revealed that he used to be a baby.
Oh, come on, I was just kidding.
But really coming in at number one is Tai Lun. Now he and Shen can really be tied, I kind of like them both equally. This character, just like Shen, also has a great backstory, and a much more emotional one. He spent his whole life training to become the Dragon Warrior just for him to be denied the title and betrayed by his master and father figure. I mean, it is hard to blame him for what he did, which makes him a character you can actually understand, and one you kind of want to see succeed. Then this character is also so cool. I mean, he has so many fantastic fight scenes, like his escape from the prison, probably one of the coolest scenes in the film, and the bridge fight is awesome too. Then Ian McShane is a perfect pick to play him, and he of course has some really quotable lines.
Finally, a worthy opponent. Our battle will be legendary!
So a great character with a motivation you can really understand. It would have been so cool if they could find a way to bring Tai Lun back so they can give him a satisfying redemption arc. Well, never mind with that idea. As underused as he was in Kung Fu Panda 4, it is nice seeing him get a happy ending. That was cool at least. So he's a great character that, along with Shen, are my favorite Dreamworks villains.